Hello guys, in today's video. In the next video about MiscProjects, today I want to talk a bit about all the stuff that I have done in the last few weeks or so. So let's get started with one thing that I have switched from my configured Ubuntu installation to a clear one. So as you can see, today we are working on unconfigure in terms of look and window manager XFCE X Ubuntu. It is just the stock one without any configuration. I have done nothing to it, so as it came from the factory, it is right now on my desktop. I have done it mainly because the last time, let me show you this in settings, you have this window manager settings and tweaks. I do not use those tweaks, but I have window manager and here configuration. And for example, you have this default one. It doesn't look awesome, you know, the Graybird is the one that is after the installation of the Ubuntu, and the one that I was using was Moheli, if I remember correctly. So, you know, it's a bit different. The one plus from it, the biggest advantage of it is that when you have, for example, multiple windows, the one that you are working on right now is highlighted by the blue bar at the top. So that was the thing why I was using it, but right now I am just, you know, with this stock one. Of course, you got Numix. I was using Numix for a period of time. Default Daloa and some other stuff, accessibility compact, but I'm using Graybird as this was the default one. And I am not using the black theme because it was annoying me every time. You know, I'm not programming very often in Arduino, but when I want to program in Arduino, I want the interface to look normal and to do not have problems with it. And the Arduino doesn't come from the built-in repositories, you know, in Ubuntu. So you need to download them from their website and install it by yourself. Of course, you have very, very simple. Here I have an example sketch for Liquid Crystal library opened, but of course you have install.sh script, you know, you just chmod plus x to have permissions to run it, and then just run it, and it installs, and you do not have problems with it. But you have this very nice tool that I use pretty often when I want to add libraries. It is under Sketch, include library, manage libraries, and you can install big amount of libraries that are not written by someone, but they are in the Arduino repos. And you can add them through this library manager. And the biggest problem in the dark theme was that it was changing the font to white. But this thing inside, this widget where you can scroll on the right, and inside you have those cells, and every cell you have one library, a simple description, and install button. There was a simple problem, which was that the background there was not changed. You know, the font itself was changed, but how the cells appear was not changed. And the problem with that was that I had white font on white background, and it was unreadable. So I just thought, you know, this default config in Ubuntu is very nice, to be honest, and I will just stick around with it and then change it. Of course, and for example, Genie, in my favorite text editor, I have black background, I just inverted background, so yeah, and that's this. And the mousepad, I have changed background too. So in text editors where I sit for hours and hours writing code or something, I have changed the background. But for example, in applications that I don't sit so long and write code, I just change I just don't change, like, you know, the background, because in Arduino I believe there is no option for that, and in processing too. So, but I don't sit in processing or in Arduino so long, and I do not have so long sessions, so I just don't feel that my eyes are strained. So the first thing that has changed is Windows, so let's just open it up. I'm not a big fan of Windows, but to be honest, the only thing that I do not like in Windows, I don't want to get political or in this whole thing, on which side I am on the side of Windows or I'm on the side of Linux. I don't want to get political, but I just do not like Windows basically because it is so bloated and it was so big and it just ate nearly all of my storage on this laptop, and I have 32 gigabyte built-in eMMC storage, and I think you have heard the Windows startup sound. But as you can see, it's booting up, it's doing something, and it's not booting up from zero, it is reloading the config from save state. But the biggest minus of Windows on this laptop, and this is why I have switched on this laptop and in consequence on all other PCs that I own to Linux, is because it just doesn't need to have so much RAM memory and storage. Here I have 30 gigabyte built-in, 32 it is to be honest, built-in eMMC storage. Of course, all the stuff that I work on I have on my micro SD card, but all the software that I have is installed there. And the problem was that Windows just ate all of it in one shot, and that was the biggest problem for me. Let's switch to full screen. It is working in full screen, but I want it to be in a window mode. It would be very nice if it would cooperate with us in window mode, but I believe it doesn't want to cooperate. Sometimes it happens in virtual machines, but I didn't thought it will happen this time. Okay, yeah, some kind of settings are opening. Okay, let's just switch to full screen for this amount of time. Yeah, even settings are opening pretty long amount of time. 100%, and here 13, 66%, 68. Nah, nothing big. Okay, but okay, if it is working in full screen, that's okay. So as you can see, the only pieces of software that I use there, I have installed Genie, yes, because sometimes I want to test if some kind of, for example, this OS library that you have built into Python, I didn't test it, but I want to test it, how it works with Windows Shell. Because Windows Shell is batch, not bash, so there are big differences, and I want to see how to write scripts that have this, that can run commands in Shell. So for example, look for files or something like that. Of course I have idle calculator, it's in Polish. The installation of Windows is in Polish because I have my beloved website that has ISOs. Of course, this one I was trying to activate it with my key for Windows 10, but it has some problems with activating it. After installation, it activated, but then when I have changed the amount of RAM in VirtualBox settings, it just crashed and doesn't want to activate again. So I just said, okay. It doesn't, there is no watermark that I haven't activated it, so I just said okay. I just can't, for example, personalize the system, change the background or something like that, so I just said okay. It can be like that. I don't care. Okay, so the only pieces of software, to be honest, that I still have Windows on my machine is Microsoft Excel, not Excel, but MS Office, basically. And of course Packet Tracer, because I am learning to IT Essentials. So, no, of course in IT Essentials you do not need to have Packet Tracer, but then I will need to learn to CCNA, and in CCNA you have some exercises that you need to do in Packet Tracer. And Packet Tracer can be executed and it runs and it works on Linux, but I had a lot of problems, and my friend who is on Arch says that there is no compatibility with browser because you have those embed exercises on the Cisco website, and then you just double tap them and it opens it in the packet tracer, and you can do the whole exercise, save it, and you have no problem. And it doesn't work on Linux. So I just need to have Windows installation with packet tracer and all the other stuff if I would need. PuTTY. PuTTY is there because I just installed it, like my muscle memory is just, when I created my Ninite. Ninite is basically a web browser where you can just tap, from the list, select all the applications that you want to install, and it just gives you one big installator that installs all of the applications that you have selected. So it is just something like that. And I have installed PuTTY because I'm used to it. And just my muscle memory, but basically when I had Windows 7 installed, I was using it to connect to a virtual server because I had two virtual machines running side by side. One was Linux and the other one was Windows 7, and I was connecting from one to each other and trying to communicate them. But now when I have Windows 10, there is no possibility that I can run anything else than Windows 10. So pretty much a problem. I was thinking about making a copy on Windows 7, but then I finally thought, the day when, for example, Firefox or something else will stop supporting Windows 7, and then I'm just in problem, to be, honest. Of course, I was doing some stuff on Windows. I even have some stuff there when I was I don't remember right now, but I was doing some applications in C#, yeah. So you can see that I have SLN and CS project. So C# project. So yeah, I was writing few things in C#, but to be honest, now I prefer Python. Python works on anything. So right now I have no problems with running one thing and another, and just that's not kindly a problem right now. Here I have, for example, and this is another thing that still keeps me with Windows, is that on Windows there is MS Office, and at school we are learning databases, not in MySQL or PostgreSQL or something else. We are just learning it in Microsoft SQL. And the only platform that supports Microsoft SQL is MS Access, so we are using MS Access. At school we are using 2007, I have 2010, so it's slightly newer, but still. The only thing that annoys me is that we have, for example, query right in there, and we are learning SQL like that. We write the queries to database in Microsoft SQL right there, and then execute it, and then we have, So I'm not a big fan of this way, but I'm used to this piece of software. I know how to do databases, how to do forms, how to do all the other stuff. So I just said, okay. Again, another sound. I don't want to save changes. So yeah, so I have installed it. And some reverse engineering. This is another thing, some reverse engineering. In Python, I have not reverse engineered fully compiled app, but I was reverse engineering, for example, bytecode. And for example, bytecode decompiler is available for Linux, but I forget how to configure it. So I have just copied the, decompiler / decoder, I should call it, because, bytecode is not fully compiled Python. But, some reverse engineering software is only for Windows, and that's how it just works. So I have here file server, which is a shared folder, and this is just my microSD card in which I have, HTML, processing, Python, and databases or some other stuff. my scripts and all the stuff on what I am working, on which I am working. So I don't turn it off because it takes just eternity to turn on this virtual machine. So I am just saving it every time. It takes like a gigabyte or something to save it. I had 63 and now I have 15.6. Yeah, and it's taking more and more and more. So it's nearly 1 gigabyte to save execution state of Windows 10. And this is home, Windows 10 home, if I remember correctly. Here I have XAMPP, or as you want to pronounce it. I needed to make this activator launcher by myself because I don't know why, but it has fully fledged installator and it looks nearly the same as on Windows, but it doesn't make, you know, normal application in your menu. So you need to go manually and go to. In terms of XAMPP, I don't know how it is with other servers, but in XAMPP you just go to root and then go to opt lump, and then here you have all the files that the XAMPP has. Here we have not this one. No. Manager Linux, the x64.run. This is the thing that you want to be running, and as you can see, there is a cross on it, so you need to run it as root. So you need to get the sudo and do it like that. And the files to which you have access via HTTP server are there. Here we have indexed PHP, and here I have some exercises from YouTube here, and here I have my own scripts in HTML and few in PHP. So yeah, that's it. What has changed is that I want to edit this video. It is fully recorded on this laptop, so I am not streaming the audio or video to any other device right now. And maybe let me show you one of the projects that I was doing. Maybe. Of course it is in Python. So let me show you, for example, GUI for matplotlib, and there are a few interesting things, to be honest, in this project when I was doing it. I was even compiling it, as you can see here. So let me open it with Genie. It's pretty big, to be honest. It is like 168 lines of code. Wow. So what I thought would be very interesting to do is I am a big fan of the matplotlib library. So I thought it would be very nice to have some kind of GUI for it, so you can generate, for example, or give that kind of script with GUI for someone who is not involved in Python of any kind, and he will be able to generate plots with it and graphs. So I was, I believe, explaining GUI 0 back then, yeah, in one of the episodes. So I will just go straight to some interesting things. So the best interesting thing that I want to show you is mainly not plot values, not plot circle. When you will go to Wikipedia, I will write it in Polish because I don't remember the name in English. So yeah, it was okay. Let me do this way. No, not on some kind of website, on Wikipedia. Here. And I'm back in a few minutes. Okay, so I'm after a short break. And what do we have there is a Polish Wikipedia. But let's change to English. So we have parametric equation, and this is what I'm talking about. It's a mathematical thingy. You know, I'm not an engineer, I'm in technical school. So I just want to go there. And here we have a circle. Here we have this thingy. Circle. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. And this gives you, I believe I even wasn't doing it in Excel. We can, yeah, I was doing it somewhere in Excel. I'm sure. Well, yeah, it's just too long to in calc. But you know, it's just too long to find it. But something is strange there. Hypertoroid. Okay, let me switch to Polish. Maybe I'll find the equations that I want to show you. Here we have it. It's much simpler. So here we have a circle, and we have a circle with a radius of a. And the parameter 10, it just goes from 0 up to 2 pi. So let me show you the application. This is how it looks like. We have plot sine, cosine, but we have plot circle and helix. With helix, we have the same equation as with circle, as you can see. But here the difference is that we have the parameter, and the parameter needs to be higher than 0, obviously. And this is the radius. And then we have bt. B is I don't know what, but the t goes as same as here from 0 up to 2 pi. So up to 3.28. So we have this, and we just generate those 3 values, and then we can plot very nice helix with it. And those are 2 pretty interesting things that you can do with those equations. I was attempting to make another shape with it. Yeah, it was torus, this thingy. And I was trying to do it, but let's get here. So we want to start our array here and end it at 6.28. So let's give it 6.5, and we want to jump with 1/10. And we want to plot circle, and it plots as circle. Of course, it looks like it's a elliptic shape because of the window size, but then when I will resize it, it looks appropriately. But this is how you can see. So what this formula does, here you can see that those lines are overlapping each other there, but what I want to show you with those is that you can describe any shape mathematically. So it is not like you know, you have some shapes and they are just like irregular. You can describe nearly anything with maths. And a lot of people say that, you know, that you need to know maths to know computer science. I believe you don't need to know maths, but you should know that you can describe everything with maths. And then finally, when you want to draw a circle, for example, like I wanted, I have found a simple, you know, Wikipedia page about this stuff. And I have found equations, then I have just implemented them in my program. They are there, so you can see that we have cosine of I times 10, cosine of I times 10, and the 10 is the radius of our circle. I go through those values of the parameter t, which is done with NumPy arrange, and we generate, so the NumPy arrange this this matrix of numbers or list of numbers is created by those two text boxes. I take values from them, and we have start. So we start at 0, we end at 6.5, and we jump. So the step is 1/10. Sorry. I'm a little bit ill, but you know, that's kind of the season for stuff like that. Okay, so we have our circle, and then what we do is just plot the values x and y, you know, because we have only 2 dimensions in here. And what it does, it just plots ourselves a circle. So what I want to show you with this is that you can nearly not explain, but describe nearly anything with maths. So it is like not like, I mean, the programmistic language or the programming language or computer language is much different from maths. But for example, you want to draw, for example, 3x3 dot matrix. You know, so what you do in programming is you just draw 3 of them, go up, return to the start x, for example, dimension, draw them, add to x, change the add to y, change the x there, you know, x dimension, and then go again. But in maths you would do it a bit different, I believe, you know. I don't know how, but you would describe it a bit differently. So those languages are different, but you should know what to extract from the mathematical language to your programming to know how to describe surrounding stuff. So for example, when you don't have Python turtle library to draw a circle because you draw it much more simpler, you can, or you should know how to draw it with this thing in this way. And now with helix we have the same situation, but here the amount of circle is described by this. So for example, when I will change it to 3.14 and 1/10 and now plot circle, it will be nearly half. Yeah, so it's nearly half. When I will resize the window, you can see that it is nearly a half. We have 0 there, the y axis and x axis. But with helix we have a bit different, because the z, which is like our 3rd dimension, the changes like regularly. So it increases regularly. Then we have the how much times it loops, you know, and this is described by the end of array. So for example, 6.28 will be a helix that is 2 times, but we want something more, so let's get it to 10 or even more, 30 or even 40, and plot helix. So as you can see, this is the factor that like describes our helix. So for example, in circle we had different factor that described it, because we had, to be honest, the parameter, like the functions themselves were, you know, describing it, and the amount of circle was described by the end of array. But if you wanted to have full circle, you needed to have 6.28, so it is 2 pi. But I believe you know what I'm talking about. So here by the end of array we define how much those sub helixes we have in this big helix. So this is basically how it is done, as you can see. And here I believe I didn't add the z. No, I added z. So we have here we have y, here we have x, and here we have z. So here we have z, and this is how it is done, basically. So to be honest, here we have in the middle 0 of the x, y, and z. Yeah? Am I honest with you guys? Yeah. So basically, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit ill. But here we have x0, y0, and z0, and z goes up. So we just get a bit more up, and up. every time we draw the circle. So when I will change it, for example, to side view, you can see that we draw it, increase, and we are just increasing the value, increasing, and going up. So this is basically what I wanted to show you today. Nothing very much interesting, I believe, but this was a bit application that I was working on it for like 2 or 3 hours, you know, and I wanted to draw circle and helix, then toroid, but I just ended there, you know, I didn't draw on toroid. And this is really what I have done. Of course I have much more than that, but I want to shrink the time of those videos. So thanks for watching, and if you have more ideas about other parametric equations for other shapes, but in simple form, you know, I don't want to have graphics or something like that. I want to like understand how it works, you know. If you would be very kind of giving a code that shows how something works, but not, you know, the whole solution for that. So that's mainly it. Hope guys we'll see the next time in the next MiscProjects or in the next robot video. But I believe on my to-do list I have power supply, C64 power supply video. So I hope this one will be next, but this one is, you know, MiscProjects. I have in my one of the projects that I'm doing right now is a bit more for school, but anyways, it is one big platform with breadboard, transformer, Arduino, LCD display, some buttons, some square wave generators, rectifiers, light bulb even. So I am just doing one big module, like a module for Arduino programming, so you'll be able to test your skills, you know, depending on what you connect. So I hope see you guys next time in the next video. I don't know how I will synchronize the audio and video, because this is my first video in which I am recording on an external recorder, the audio, but maybe I will do it. So see you guys next time, and next MiscProjects or power supply video.